What's going on, everyone? From LowKick MMA, my name is Dane Podolsky, and I'm joined with Dustin Stoltzfus. He is set to return on June 8th against Brunno Ferreira. Dustin, how are you doing today?
Good, good. Yeah, just taking the weekend off, trying to recover. Body's feeling sore, been working hard. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're about 2 weekends out from your fight. How's training been going? How are you feeling so far?
training's been great. Been at Extreme Couture this time, so had a lot of great middleweights from Bellator, PFL, and UFC. Have a real good group of guys that we've been working together with. A lot of the guys are fighting either the weekend before me or a couple weekends after. So it's been just a great atmosphere and everyone pushing each other and just grinding every day.
How did this fight with Ferreira come to fruition, and I guess kind of from looking at the footage, what do you think gives you the advantage over him?
My manager sent me a name and I said yes. So that's pretty much how it goes. Um, yeah, as far as stylistically, he's a power puncher. He's wild and dynamic. So we'll need to definitely make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's, staying clean, staying sharp, and look for the openings that inevitably happen when you're a dynamic, explosive fighter.
Remind me when you moved out to Vegas, because I know you originally from Pennsylvania. And I guess how since going to Extreme Couture, how much has that made an impact for you in terms of your career?
So I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. I've been living out in Germany for the past 10 years, and I still do. But I like to come out to Vegas for my camps. Been doing that ever since my um contender series fight to some extent, and in the uh, the last two, well, this fight and last fight, I've just been doing my whole camp out here. It's just so much easier to get good training in. I have great coaches and partners over in Germany, but the logistics of getting everyone in and making sure that like this person has time and this person has time is just such a headache compared to coming here and you just show up at the gym and you know there's bodies and there's um, good guys to work with and you know that every day is going to be good training and you don't need to spend that extra energy, that mental energy organizing things and then it doesn't work for this guy and then you need to reschedule something else and it's just yeah it's a lot easier out here and then with the PI too it's just great.
Yeah, so I definitely want to ask about Extreme Couture, but before we get there, talk to me about, the state of German MMA. It's certainly a growing scene there, and you kind of have a chance. I know you're from America, but of German descent, having lived out there, you have a chance to be part of that next wave of German MMA fighters.
Yeah, the German MMA scene is definitely growing. It's definitely a lot better than it was when I made my pro debut out there back in 2014. Especially with the biggest thing that I've noticed in the last little while that really gave the MMA scene over there a big boost is Octagon coming up and doing a lot of shows over there. They put on some great shows. There were 20,000 people in the arena that I went and saw. It was an awesome atmosphere. Um, the young German fighters out there they're getting pushed. They're getting a great stage to fight on, semi-international, semi-regional level. So that's been amazing to see. And that's just going to bring up the level of competition as well because people are motivated, people are getting paid, and so they can devote more time to training.
Yeah, and obviously, the UFC is starting to go to a lot of places, going to Louisville for this fight, but down the road are you hoping that UFC Germany could come to fruition and you can get on that card?
Yeah, yeah. I know at the end of the year they have some cards in Europe, in Spain, I think, and Paris. So it'd be nice to get on one of those. Um, but it's always one of those things. I have my travel easier or I have my fight camp easier. And so if it's over there, that's great. Then I don't need to travel as far. And obviously great for the scene and the fans and people that want to come watch me fight. But the other side of things then doesn't make much sense to come over here for my camp, or if I do, it cuts out a lot of time with recovering from jet lag back and forth. Um, so yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to that. But if this fight goes well and I'm feeling a good rhythm, feeling good momentum, then yes, I would love to fight in Europe again. I would love to get a fight in Germany again. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and talk to me about your long-term goals for 2024. If all goes well and you beat Brunno Ferreira, where do you see yourself by the end of this year?
So I've got 2 fights left on this contract. So I'm just trying to focus on ending this contract on the best note that I can, getting hopefully this win, and then another fight in late summer, early fall could be good if I'm healthy. Um, and then we just need to see where it goes from there. If I feel really good, really confident, and I feel like my skills and my uh, mental state in the fight is feeling where it should be, then I would love to fight in Europe again. If I get the win or if I don't get the win, um, and I'm feeling a little bit more like I definitely um, need the training out here, then I would like to fight stateside again, just because the training and the fight camp's a lot easier out here.
Got it, got it. So switching gears back to Extreme Couture, I know a lot of the fighters I've interviewed there, they talk about how it's a very supportive gym. It's a very tight-knit gym. Who have been your main training partners for this camp? And you mentioned it a little bit, but just talking about the overall atmosphere of Extreme Couture.
So uh, when I first started coming out here, Extreme Couture was more like the vibe that I felt was very um, segmented. Like you get this click over here and these people doing their thing with these coaches. And it still feels like that to some degree, but Sean Strickland has really built like a core group of mostly middleweights and welterweights and light heavyweights um, around him and his fight camp, and especially since he's fighting next weekend. Um, it's been a really close knit group of guys in and around my weight class um, that have been out there. And I'm terrible with names, so I've forgotten all their last names already. But um, Alex, Johnny, obviously Sean Strickland as well, Roman, and a whole bunch of other guys that have just been awesome training partners and really been pushing my skills and my grit and my conditioning definitely as well for this fight. Yeah.
Yeah, talk to me about training with Sean Strickland. I know, he's a kind of a crazy guy in and out of the cage, but all the training footage of him, it's always him going hard and sparring. What's that like kind of training with him?
Yeah. So obviously I have been training a lot with Sean, and I've trained with him since my Contender Series fight. We've trained together on and off since then. So I know Sean pretty well, but he's not really the body or the look that I need for this fight. So he hasn't been one of my main partners. I've been more trying to go for the heavier, explosive, stocky guys. But yeah, training with Sean's always rough. Yeah, he definitely doesn't give anyone breaks. He's not uh, as much of as a yeah as much of a bad training partner and sparring partner as he might look like on the internet, or as much as or as he doesn't try to hurt you as much as he used to. Uh, but it's definitely always hard rounds, always a fight. So, um, but hey, that's what we're getting ready for. So it's good to have that sort of intensity as well.
I do remember Sean Strickland. I think it was ahead of his fight with Abis Magomedov, obviously a former opponent of yours. I remember him, he had kind of name checked you and kind of called you soft, but did you ever, make anything of that? And I guess what do you make of it?
Yeah, we talked about it when I saw him first time after that. I've got thick skin. I don't really care. Like uh my philosophy is don't take criticism from people that you wouldn't take advice from. And Sean is great in a lot of ways. And he definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to fighting. but not all of his ideas and not everything that he says is anywhere near reality. Um, so yeah, if he I don't really care. He can say what he wants about me. We shoot shit all the time. I know how Sean is. I don't get too hurt about it. There's definitely an aspect of truth to what he says. Like even in regard to me, like sometimes being too soft, I get in my own way sometimes. Um, get nervous when I fight and things like that. But yeah, the way he puts it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. But yeah, we've had great rounds. He's been a great support for me in this camp. So people try to drum up drama where there's no drama. Sean just says a lot of things. He has absolutely no filter. So I don't really care too much.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think everyone I've talked to about Sean Strickland says that, what he shows is it really is Sean Strickland. Like he genuinely is kind of that psychopath. Again, maybe not everything he says, sometimes he says things to draw attention, but he really kind of, like what is Sean like from your perspective, I guess, when he's not in training and not in the cage?
I mean, I mostly only see him at the gym. We don't really hang out.
Yeah.
Uh, we're not really that kind of friend, but at the gym, he's actually super supportive. He'll try to break you down while the round is going, but as soon as it's over, he's over there giving you corrections, giving you tips, or giving you praise if you did things really well. Um, I mean, when it comes to his ideas and what he's thinking, um, as I said, he just has no filter. He just says things how he sees them, um, which isn't necessarily always true, but if he thinks something, then he's going to say it like that. Um, there's not really too much uh, posturing or virtue signaling or hype with him. He's just who he is, and I think he really enjoys being allowed to be that person, both in the gym at Extreme. He's sort of given his own little space to be Sean Strickland, and now with his popularity now, people love that sort of character that he is. And so he just gets to be who he is for in front of a camera, and people think it's hilarious or really buy into it. And yeah, so he can just be himself, which is sort of cool.
And then, final question on Sean. Obviously, he's fighting Paulo Costa next weekend. How do you think that fight plays out for him?
Oh, I think Sean's got this. Paula Costa is good everywhere, and obviously we're in a weight class where really anything can happen. But I think Sean's uh, yeah, Costa doesn't do too well with people who are super accurate, and Sean's very, very accurate. Sean's wrestling is also very good, and the pressure that he puts on is just amazing. So as long as he doesn't get, um, yeah, put away with something super wild and super unexpected, I think he's got the pressure and the skills to break Costa down and get the win.
Fair enough. And so, sort of transitioning, I guess, away from Sean, but definitely staying in the division. When you look at the middleweight picture, Dricus Du Plessis is the champion. Unconfirmed who he's fighting next. Likely gonna fight Israel Adesanya in Australia. How do you feel about kind of the top end of that title picture? Do you think Sean Strickland could come back and be champion? And obviously, I know you yourself or see yourself becoming part of that picture in the near future.
I think Sean's right up there. Sean showed what he can do against Israel. The fight against Duplessis was really, really good. I thought it went his way, but it was it was very close either way. So, I mean, you get those guys and then Whitaker, and they're all just right up there. Um, I don't like to speculate too much. I've got a lot of work to do on myself and get cracking in the top 15 first, and the top 10, and then we can start looking at the top. So I'm not putting myself in that picture too soon. Um, just trying to put one foot in front of the other and actually get a streak going. So
Yeah, and I do want to ask because you started your UFC career 1-3, but then you've rebounded two wins in your last three. And I think we've seen in the last few years a lot of champions. I think Jan Blachowicz, he started 2-4 in the UFC, became a champion. Charles Oliveira was, I think, 8-8 at one point in the UFC and goes on to become a champion. And are these kind of fighters who you look up to and as sort of like okay, my UFC career didn't start the way I wanted to, but you're still here and now you're two out of your last three, starting to string together wins. Do you look at fighters like that and feel like, you know what, I can make that same run too, even if I didn't have the ideal start to my UFC run?
I don't think it's too constructive to always compare yourself to others or your path to other people because everything's going to be very, very different. But it is reassuring sometimes to see, okay, this happened to other people too. It doesn't mean I'm awful. It doesn't mean I can't do anything. It doesn't mean that there's no hope for me in the UFC. So, so it is nice, but at the end of the day, I just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep doing my thing, keep getting better, and just keep moving on.
You're fighting on the same card as two middleweights who are headlining. That's Jared Cannonier and Nasruddin Imavov. How do you think that fight plays out?
Honestly, I don't even know. I haven't really been paying attention to either of those guys right now because they're not in my sphere. Yeah, as I said, I'm at the bottom of the barrel. I know I am. So I'm trying to get momentum to move up to the middle of the barrel first. And then those two guys are, um, yeah, probably high middle or low top tier fighters. So they're not quite in my scope yet. So I'm just trying to build momentum for myself first.
Well, fair enough. Because when I talk to a lot of fighters, some fighters, they'll say like I watch, every single UFC card, and other fighters, they just kind of focus on themselves, don't really care about what other fighters are doing. I guess where do you kind of stand between those two? I guess those two lines.
As a fan before, I watched all the UFC fights. I really enjoyed it. But anymore, I spend so much time training and thinking about my own progression that aside from like a little bit of picking up things that people are doing well and trends, um, I just don't really have the time or energy to be following it like a fan anymore. Yeah, prefer to spend my energy training.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, June 8th, hey, I'm wishing you the best of luck. And my final question, Dustin Stoltzfus, Brunno Ferreira, June 8th in Louisville. Give me your official prediction, Dustin.
I think I'll be able to get it done in the second, um, either either standing or submission. I think if I can break them down, then I can get an opening. Yeah, I think second round.
Awesome. Well, Dustin, I'm wishing you the best of luck. If there are any socials, teammates you want to shout out, platform is yours, my friend.
I don't do really too much on social media, but if you want to follow me, just Dustin Stoltzfus MMA. Don't post too much, but you can follow me. I'd appreciate it. Whatever.
There you go. Guys, Dustin Stoltzfus is back. He returns to the UFC Octagon in Louisville on June 8th, takes on Brunno Ferreira. Dustin, best of luck to you, my friend, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.